Welcome back, everybody, to a very special episode of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. That's right, the after-school special, if you like, of the SLP. We're here to say goodbye to Dr. John Bindernagle, one of the bravest scientists and PhDs in the field, willing to put his professional credentials on the line to say that there was and is indeed a North American wood ape. And we're here to talk about the man tonight with all of you. And we're so glad you guys are out there. And when I say we, I'm not just talking about my special little invisible friend over here. Tonight I have joined with me special guest investigator Cameron Young from Canada. Blame Canada. No, not tonight. We're not going to blame Canada for anything. Tonight, Cameron. I gotta tell you, when the news hit me, I was saddened. I mean, I really was saddened that when you first broke the news to me that they had stopped the cancer treatments and just went to pain treatment, I knew the time was a little short.
Yeah, it sucks. It's coming from a guy who's had cancer before and beat it so many times. It sucks when something. When it does take her,
what was he, 83, 82?
No, 76.
Okay, well, he's still way on up there for the trying to fight off the worst freaking disease on the planet. Thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's clear everybody up who Dr. John actually was and is. According to Wikipedia, mind you. So, Dr. John A. Bindernagle, born 1941 to January 18, 2018, wildlife biologist who sought evidence for Bigfoot since 1963. That's a long time. He published a book in 1998 entitled North America's Great Ape, the Sasquatch. Bindernagle grew up in Ontario and attended the University of Guelph.
Guelph.
Yeah, there's a W in there because it's French.
Yeah.
And received a PhD in biology from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He moved to British Columbia in 1975, largely because the region was a hot spot for Bigfoot sightings. And over the years, he collected casts of the tracks that he believes belongs to Bigfoot. He also claimed to have heard the creature near Comics Lake in 1992, comparing its whooping sound to that of a chimpanzee. I agree with him 100% with that. And Bindernagle believed that the Bigfoot phenomenon should receive more attention from serious scientists, but remarked, the evidence doesn't get scrutinized objectively. We can't bring the evidence to our colleagues because it's perceived as tabloid. And that is still the case. I mean, he's been fighting that since 1975, and here it is in 2018. We're still getting new tracks. We're still getting new casts. We're still getting new audios. We're still getting glimpses of the creatures. Yet science isn't any further now than they were in 1975, and that's just kind of sad.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious, it does. Sucks still fighting this flu after a month. It's absolutely insane. Dr. John Bindernagle's a longtime BFRO curator. Spent decades researching the Sasquatch mystery in British Columbia, Canada. Convinced that the species exists, his work represents one of the first tenable efforts to evaluate Sasquatch biology. Drawing primarily from his historical collections of witness testimony, related artifacts, and of his own formal training in ecology, his insights are summarized in North America's Great Ape, the Sasquatch. Once the species is conclusively documented and better understood, the hypothetical model of Sasquatch ecology developed by this professional wildlife biologist will probably turn out to be largely accurate. That was said by the BFRO powers that be. Representatives of the scientific and professional communities attest to the influence of his groundbreaking work as it helped them develop a rational, scientifically founded perspective of the likely social structure, diet, behavior, and general ecology of North America's native ape population. For that reason and others, the BFRO highly recommends Dr. Bindernagle's landmark title, North America Great Ape, the Sasquatch. I agree with quite a bit of that. Mm-hmm. Bindernagle was one of the first ones that came forward to us and said that Sasquatch is most likely an omnivore.
Yeah.
You know, and it would take large amounts of vegetation to keep a creature like that moving along between, you know, meat when it could actually get it.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see here. There is also, I wanted to bring up, Lauren Coleman tweeted this out right before the show tonight. If you are able to attend, there will be a memorial service for Sasquatch researcher Dr. John Bindernagle this Saturday, the 27th, January 28th at 2 p.m. at the St. George's Church at 505 6th Street, Courtenay, British Columbia.
Oh, Courtenay.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of court in there for that to be coot. But
Courtenay, BC. Yeah, okay, sorry. I thought it said Courtenay, BC.
Like, V9N1M5. I guess that's your zip codes kind of thing. Yeah. You can get info via Alex, somebody or other, or John Kirk. Yeah, that's right.
John Kirk's going to be there. Okay. Well,
yeah. That's good, yeah, that's definitely good news as well.
Yeah.
The discovery of Sasquatch, you know, I mean, his opening paragraphs to the pitch of this book are you know, right. He's been studying the Sasquatch or Bigfoot for over 50 years. For the past 25 years, the main subject of the wildlife research has been the scrutiny of the evidence, which appears to affirm that Sasquatch has an existing mammal. During the period, he found that this evidence to not only be compelling, but eventually conclusive in supporting the Sasquatch as an existing North American mammal. Yet here we are, still, you know, still trying to battle on with you know, the naysayers who, I can't possibly be true, or we'd have one in the museum by now, or the taxidermist would be probably stuffing one. And on the black market, they probably are.
Yeah.
You know, there are lots of things that happen on the black market that never see the news, never see the light of day. Some goon puts it in some, you know, some rich prince's a quarry room, and we never see it again until some charlatan UK doctor tries to make a Yeti.
I was just going to go there myself. I knew what you were talking about. And the mouth is like made of clay, and the teeth are over and backwards with the roots sticking up, and just
lots and lots of trouble with some of those ancient stuffed animals. By the way, the discovery of the Sasquatch by Dr. John Bindernagle is also available on Amazon as well.
Would you believe it? I don't even have either of his books.
Yeah, I don't. I actually don't have either of them either, because they're always so expensive.
I found an area. I'll send you the link that they're like $35 for both.
Yeah, I'm seeing one for $75, and I didn't even pay that for John Green's books.
No,
and they're far more rare.
Yeah,
but you know, with that, you know, that money still goes to support his wife and his family, and you know, artists always seem to be more recognized when it comes to, you know, death for some reason.
Yeah.
Now, Cameron, tell us about your contact with John. I mean,
right. Okay. So it basically started. I saw him on the show Creepy Canada, which was an old documentary series. You know, every week they do different, you know, they do like ghosts or whatever. And then one episode I watched, they were doing Bigfoot, and John happened to be interviewed on the show. And this was years before I talked to him. And he was also on Sasquatch Odyssey with John Green, because he was friends with John Green, and they actually lived pretty close. So I got in contact with John Green in the summer of 2009. I just was 19 years old. And he told me about this John Bindernagle guy. And then when I talked to him, he gave me his contact. He said, you know, this guy's really good. He can help you along and whatever. And I talked to him a couple times. And then when I finally talked to him, oh, you're the guy from so-and-so documentary, da-da-da-da-da. So I talked to him quite a bit, a couple of times, emailed him more than called. He was a very shy guy. I think he he just wanted, he wasn't like a DeHinden where he was like, oh no, get away from me, you know, tell you to F off or whatever. But
no, he was very careful in the words that he used so that they wouldn't be used against him or misconstrued, unlike some of the other doctors that are in our subject of study. I'm not going to bring up, but I'm not even going to, I'm not going to do that tonight. That's not really what we're here for.
No.
But, unlike that, he was always very careful. Yes. In what he did have to say about people, and then, where did your contact go from there?
So once I contacted John Green, I finally talked to John for the first time and told him who I was and what I was doing. And he was actually quite surprised to see such a young guy interested in it. And I said, oh no, I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. And he's like, you're kidding. And he said, oh yeah, I know who this, listed the names, DeHinden, Green, Dead. Oh, and he's like, oh yeah, John. Yeah, I know John. Yeah, I talked to him a couple times. And John was shy too. By that time he was like in his late 70s. He probably wanted to be left alone too. Like, who's this 19-year-old punk calling from Alberta, and how the hell did he find me and whatever.
Right.
But both were very good, and it was so cool. Like, I'm talking to the guys that I read in books, saw on TV, and I've hit the big time, right? So, but he gave me a lot of advice, and the one thing I always remember was I brought up the Patterson film, and he really did not want to talk about that much. He always thought, every time that's brought up, and this was his exact words, it's kind of turns into a he said, she said kind of battle. And so he really just he said, I'd rather put that aside for now and focus on, like footprints, eyewitness drawings, stuff that's more, what's the word he said?
Physical.
Yeah, that kind of thing. He said, once the discovery of Bigfoot has happened, you can bring that film back and then you can see, and then, he said, then you can bring it back and see, okay, now this all makes sense.
And the funny thing about that is that's very true. He didn't like to talk about the film. However, the tracks that were cast that day, he was goo-goo over like this. Yes. I mean, he had all three of them at every talk he ever talked about. And look at this one. And you can tell that the toes are differently in this one. And, he was always big into the track cast that went along with that day. But the video always came out to be a controversy, and the attention got taken away from the topic. It got to be, well, you're wrong. Well, no, you're wrong. Well, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. And that doesn't solve anything. And I agree with him until we have such enhancements like MK Davis's stabilization of the film. Now we can no longer take that away. That needs to be brought back to the center of attention, because show me a suit. Yeah. There isn't one there. A suit would look like a suit. By the time you have stabilized and changed that video into what it's become now through the power of technology, there's no doubt that that's not a man wearing hip waders and an old football helmet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's claimed. So
yes,
with that, as the later years went on, Bindernagle got wrapped up in some strange dealings. Like, he got wrapped up with the Erickson project and the charlatans from Crittenton. His eyesight wasn't that great anymore, and they took him out there and they paraded this Matilda creature out in front of him. And, for just a quick come out and stand in the middle of this pathway and look down the pathway at him and then go back into the wood line type of thing. And, but to him, to Bindernagle, that probably was like the quintessential moment of his life, because he wouldn't have been able to tell that it was fake.
No.
He wasn't a dumb man, but at the same time, he was very, how can I don't want to say
easily persuaded.
Easily persuaded. Yeah, that would probably be a word that I would use. Hey, let's take a moment to say hello to all of our sad mourners that are out here with us in the chat room as well. We'll say hi to Leanne. She's on her tablet, so she can't text. But Lance Windsor, that man is always in the house, along with Starshine, Danny from Texas. Hello, Force Cop. People call me Force Cop. Squatch Box, I hope you're feeling better, sweetheart. I really do. Tell Christopher to eat his potatoes. They are vegetables. James the Grower. Hey, brother. So glad you're here for a special edition. Shane Barber. Hi there. Ho there. Hey there. Nicholas Hoskins. Man, that's a strange looking icon. That's like, nuclear. And we got Can Squanch in the house, as well as Mr. Rod Dupree, always in the place to be. And Keith Harden is in the house, as well as Brown Dwarf, Obsidian Radio, Jonathan Doty, right back at you, man. So glad you are here. Natalie Smith, she checked in. Getting down there. Sharon Willen, say hi, because you're next on Romper Room. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Jay Gerd is back in the house with us. He's been gone for a while. Xander Hansen, hello there, sir. Raymond Lopez as well. I see you there. I think that is everybody. Wow, for a special edition. You know, they just show up by the droves, and I love it. So yeah, you know, outside of email a couple of times, I've emailed a couple of questions to the good doctor. I mean, most of the stuff that I got from him, you know, came from statements that he made on shows and in documentaries and in books and things. And you know, there wasn't really a need to have that personal, you know, relationship back and forth with him. But I did email back and forth with him a couple of times, and he was a very genuine man. I mean, if you ask him his opinion on something, he would tell you his opinion on something, and he didn't care if you passed his opinion on to something, because that's what he would tell anybody about it.
Yeah, exactly. No, the other thing too, my other friend talked to him with me as well, because he had somewhat of a report to give to him, and my friend gave every detail and everything that happened. And John was very thankful and very honored for him to be told that, because, you know, his famous saying is he sometimes almost has to pry open a witness like pulling teeth to get them to tell their story, because they'll think, oh, you'll just run off and make money off of it, or you'll just do this or do that. No, he keeps them for himself.
Yeah, and that's, you know, and unfortunately, we've lost a lot of archives like that for people who have all these, especially in their head, that they've never written down or put in any kind of a logbook or anything. Right. You know, we've lost a lot of, you know, probably real stories to death and, you know, the inability to write a book.
Yeah.
And with that, my friend, I think that's about where we should probably wrap up.
Right. Yeah.
Our farewell to Dr. Bindernagle. You got any last thoughts?
Yeah. Back to the Patterson film, you know, he never said it was fake. I always asked, do you think it's real? He said, oh yeah, it's real. He just didn't want to bring that into his evidence pile for now. I think if you were to categorize him, I would categorize him more as a footprint expert. Like, he really looked at the environment, the sustainability of food, like if there was enough food for, you know, the population. And I asked him one time, I said, so how many do you think there are? And he said, oh, probably anywhere from 20 to 25,000 or more.
Yeah. Yeah, he's always been a big proponent of the big number. I agree. I mean, between Northern California, the Pacific Northwest, and Western Canada, where nobody lives, easily 20,000 animals, no problem. We have 40,000 black bear in Northern California alone.
Yeah, he thinks so. He thinks so. For every bear out there, there's, you know, one Sasquatch.
At least, yeah, probably. Yeah. Well,
or two Sasquatch, or, you know, whatever. Well, basically his thing was the bears outnumber the Sasquatch, he thinks.
Yeah, probably 2 bears for every 1 Sasquatch would be the way I would look at it. Probably 3 or 4 bears for every 1, because we just don't see the Sasquatch that often.
No.
Not like we see them kill the bears. I mean, we kill thousands of bears a year because we run across them in bear season and shoot them.
He thought my theory of them burying their dead was actually quite accurate. And I said, well, my other theory is they eat them. He didn't really buy that, and I didn't really expect him to, but he thought he thought it was interesting, but he's more along the lines of they actually like have like a funeral like us humans do. He thought they were more of an ape than human. He thinks he put him in the great ape category, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's where I put them in the great primate category. I mean, gorilla, orangutan, the whole chimpanzee line, humans, Sasquatch, any of those type creatures around the world are all great primates. They're above that ape class because there is a lower ape class. And I'm not trying to be racist here. I'm just saying, gibbons and those types of things are just not great primates. They're lower on the totem pole apes. They're still apes, but they're not of the upper primates that may do those things.
No.
And I've always been one of the, I think all this human DNA that came back in the 80s and 90s on these Sasquatch DNAs are probably Sasquatch DNA because their Sasquatch DNA is so close to humans that you can't tell it apart unless you know exactly where you're looking.
Right.
So, we're 51% banana as it is. Right. So if you look in the right places amongst our DNA, we'll come up looking like a banana.
Yeah.
So, you got to look in the wrong places to kind of figure out exactly what stuff is. And
exactly.
That's kind of the way. I had hoped in his lifetime that maybe we would have a body on a slab by now, but unfortunately that was not the case.
The other thing and the sad thing was I called his house just a few days before he passed away, and he wasn't in at the time, and I thought, I'll try a couple days later, and then it was too late. So, I was talking to my one buddy today, and it says, it sucks we never got down there. So for anybody watching, I would honestly go down there before, while you can. I don't know who's left. I was talking to Star Shine, recently, saying, okay, who's left? Like, all the other originals are gone. I think Burns the only one that's left.
Yeah, and he's not doing so well.
No. Well, that's understandable. He's been around since a long time.
I think the last beach foot he went to, he was 91.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so they ought to be carrying him around in a shroud by now.
Yeah. And the other thing, I wanted to talk to John about, I was going to ask him, okay, what do you think of Todd Standing and why did you do it?
He did it because his good friend Meldrum told him he should do it.
Yeah, that's
Meldrum was brought in by Les, and Les is an entertainer, but we're gonna leave that for another.
Yeah.
Let's not dirty this up with that. Nonsense.
No,
not
exactly. But all. No, I appreciate him for all the help that he's helped me, and to take the time to talk to me and all the all the other amateurs and stuff like that. So.
Yep, he was always a man who was willing to smile, shake your hand, and say hello, and that was always the beautiful thing about Dr. Bindernagle. And with that, I think, honestly, that's where we're at tonight, guys. So we very much appreciate you joining us tonight. If you have any questions for us, you can leave them in the comments, and of course, we will reply to them. Join us tomorrow night for the official Voices in the Night. We're going to Central Texas, and we have a viewer encounter written in by the Reverend Matthew Gaines. So thanks everybody for being here tonight. Thank you, Cameron, for being here, sir.
No problem. Thank you for doing this, Jeff. It's I appreciate it.
And we'll see you guys tomorrow night. We'll have an after hangout here if you guys want to join in.
I bet if John heard that voice, he would crap his pants. I know I would.
That's a scary howl, man. I've heard some distant like that. I've never heard them up close like that, but I've heard the chimpanzee.
I don't think I'd want to.
I've heard the chimpanzee whoop 15 yards out of camp.
Nice.
Couldn't find what made it.
Nice.
I mean, we went looking, couldn't find what made it. It was crazy. Yeah. See you next time, guys.